March 24, 1944. Stalag Luft III, Nazi Germany. Roger Bushell crouches 30 feet underground, watching 76 men crawl toward freedom through a tunnel called Harry. The passage is 336 feet long, 2 feet square. The exit sits 10 feet short of the forest. Searchlights sweep overhead every 47 seconds. German guards patrol with dogs every 8 minutes. The mathematics are brutal. 76 men crawling through at 90 seconds each equals 114 minutes of continuous exposure. Guards shoot escapees on sight. By dawn, statistically, everyone should be recaptured or dead. But Bushell isn't watching the clock. He's watching his system work. 3 years of planning, 600 prisoners involved, 200 tons of sand dispersed, 4,000 bedboards stolen for supports. This shouldn't be possible. The Nazis have caught him escaping twice before. They've told him the next attempt means execution. The survival rate for escapees in Nazi Germany is 0.02%. But Roger Bushell is about to successfully evacuate 76 Allied prisoners through a single tunnel in one night, the largest prison break from a German camp in World War II history. He'll do this while personally crawling into freedom, knowing the Gestapo has marked him for death. He can do this because he understands something the Germans don't. Prison is just architecture, and architecture always has weaknesses. Roger Joyce Bushell, born July 30th, 1910, Springs, South Africa, son of a mining engineer who taught him that every mountain has a way through if you understand geology. At age 8, Roger spent summers underground in gold mines learning that solid rock isn't solid. It's a pattern of strengths and compromises. The principle stayed with him: find the weakness, exploit it systematically, and impossible becomes inevitable. But to understand how a 33-year-old barrister became the architect of the most audacious escape in military history, you need to know what made him different from every other prisoner who accepted their cage. May 23, 1940. Bushell's Spitfire takes 3 rounds through the engine over France during Dunkirk. He's 29, an RAF squadron leader with 2 confirmed kills. The plane loses altitude at 400 feet per minute. He has 90 seconds of controlled flight remaining. Standard procedure: bail out, survive, become a prisoner. Bushell spots a tree-lined road 2 miles away, completely unsuitable for landing, and aims for it anyway. The Spitfire hits at 140 miles per hour, shears both wings, skids 200 yards. He climbs out with a gashed forehead and walks toward England. French civilians hide him for 3 days before German paratroopers capture him near Aveljam. His first documented thought: well, that's temporary. June 1940. Stalag Luft Transit Camp. He's been a prisoner for 11 days. Most men accept reality. Bushell studies guard patrol patterns and notices a 4-minute gap at shift change near the eastern fence. On June 12th, he slips out, walks 8 miles to a train station, and boards a locomotive towards Switzerland. A conductor notices his RAF boots 40 miles from the border. The Germans add 2 weeks solitary confinement. Bushell tells the commandant, "You'll need more than 2 weeks." He's gathering data. Every failure teaches him what doesn't work. October 1940, Stalag Luft III at Barth. The camp holds 900 Allied airmen behind double fences, guard towers every 100 yards, seismograph microphones buried to detect tunneling. Within 3 weeks, Bushell organizes 47 prisoners into teams, forgers creating documents, tailors modifying uniforms, intelligence officers mapping schedules. He's not planning an escape, he's building an escape factory. The first tunnel starts beneath a drainage ditch. Bushell engineers sand dispersal, prisoners carried in bags sewn into trousers, releasing gradually while exercising. They move 6 tons over 3 months undetected. The tunnel collapses in February 1941 at 120 feet. 0 men escape. Bushell's assessment: the concept works. The execution needs refinement. September 1941. Bushell makes his second escape attempt. He and Jack Zafuk create false papers. Bushell becomes Jens Larsen, Norwegian margarine salesman. They slip out during a theater performance, walk to the train station in modified civilian clothes, and board a train to Czechoslovakia. They travel 400 miles over 8 days, making contact with Czech resistance in Prague. For 2 months, Bushell lives as a civilian gathering intelligence on German troop movements. The Gestapo catches him in November after a resistance betrayal. An SS officer tells him, "You are no longer a prisoner of war. You are an escaped terrorist. Next time, we execute you." They return him to Stalag Luft III with a file notation, Deutschfeindlich und gefahrlich, anti-German and dangerous. Bushell arrives back November 14th with frostbite on 3 fingers and new clarity. If the next attempt will be his last, it needs to be massive. Not 2 men, hundreds. By March 1943, Bushell had orchestrated 8 small escapes, putting 37 men temporarily outside the wire with 0 successful home runs to England. Every failure taught him something: document quality, timing windows, civilian disguise details. The Germans couldn't understand why he kept trying after being promised execution, but nothing would compare to what happened next. March 24th, 1944, 9:45 p.m. Roger Bushell stands at the base of Tunnel Harry, built over 13 months by 600 men. This is how they did it. March 11th, 1943. 13 months before the escape, Bushell calls a meeting in Hut 104 and spreads a blueprint across a table. The plan: 3 tunnels simultaneously, Tom, Dick, and Harry, each 30 feet deep to avoid seismographs, supported with stolen bedboards every 3 feet, ventilated with bellows-operated air pumps, lit with margarine lamps. They'll run 336 feet to reach the forest. 600 prisoners will participate, 140 disposers, 200 manufacturers, 35 diggers, 75 intelligence officers, 150 support personnel. The goal: 200 men out in 1 night. Australian pilot John Williams asks, "Roger, the Gestapo said they'll shoot you. Why risk it?" Bushell's documented response: "We're not just escaping, we're creating strategic disruption. Every German soldier searching for us is 1 fewer, killing our men in France. This isn't about freedom, it's about operations." Williams says, "When do we start? The operation requires solving 7 impossible problems. Problem 1, each tunnel produces 200 tons of yellow sand beneath gray topsoil. Solution: penguins carry sand in trouser pouches, releasing it in gardens during exercise. Problem 2, at 30 feet, oxygen deprivation occurs in 15 minutes. Solution: air pumps made from kit bags push 12 cubic feet per minute through tin piping. Problem 3, lighting without consuming oxygen. Solution: 90 margarine lamps spaced every 12 feet. Problem 4, sand collapses without support. Solution: 4,000 stolen bedboards cut into frames every 3 feet. Problem 5, documents must pass Gestapo inspection. Solution: forgers photograph stolen papers and reproduce them with nail pens and boot polish ink. 200 complete identity sets. Problem 6, civilian clothing. Solution: uniforms dyed with boot polish and coffee, reshaped into suits. Problem 7, on March 24th, Harry ends 10 feet short. Exit in open ground visible to towers. Bushell decides in 30 seconds, proceed with rope signals. 2 tugs means go, 3 means freeze. Timing window 47 seconds between searchlight sweeps. March 24th, 1944, 9:30 p.m. Diggers remove the final barrier beneath, a stove in Hut 104. Bushell descends first, crawling 336 feet to check integrity. The tunnel is 2 feet square. No room to turn, barely room to crawl forward. At the exit, he sees they're 10 feet short. Guards patrol 200 yards away. This should end everything. Instead, he sets up the rope system and signals. Proceed. 10:15 p.m. First man out. Mike Casey, Welsh pilot speaking fluent German. He waits for the searchlight pass. Counts to 12. Sprints to forest in 8 seconds. 1 down. 75 to go. Problem 8 emerges. Men take 150 seconds to crawl, not 90. Some get stuck. Some pull suitcases. At 150 seconds per person, 76 men need 190 minutes. over 3 hours of exposure. Every man must wait underground until the searchlight passes, then sprint 10 feet before the next sweep. 11:40 p.m. 23 men out. Complication 1. A guard patrol passes 50 yards from the exit. Danny Kroll freezes half exposed in the hole. 3 tugs stop. He stays motionless for 90 seconds while the dog and flashlight pass. The wind blows away from the patrol. The guard continues. Kroll sprints on the next interval. 3 minutes lost. 12:50 a.m. 37 men out. Complication 2. Electrical failure causes lights to flicker, then backup generator kicks in at full brightness with no warning. Len Trent is caught halfway to forest, completely exposed. He drops flat. The searchlight passes over him, pauses 3 seconds, continues. The operator didn't see him. Trent crawls the remaining distance. 2 minutes lost. 2:15 a.m. 51 men out. Complication 3. Partial collapse at 200 feet. Sand pins Johnny Stour's legs. Bob McBride, crawling behind, digs Stour out with bare hands for 8 minutes. They continue forward. 12 minutes lost. 3:40 a.m. 68 men out. Complication 4. A guard stops to smoke 30 yards from the exit. He stands there 4 minutes. Bruce Day watches through a crack, hand on rope, unable to signal. The guard finishes, flicks his cigarette toward the forest, walks away. Day signals immediately. 2 tugs, 4:55 a.m., 76 men out. Dawn is 48 minutes away. This is when everything breaks. 5 a.m. German guard Karl Griesbot's disturbed earth 10 feet from the tree line. He walks toward it. 20 feet away he sees the hole. He shouts, "Halt!" and fires into the air. The alarm sounds, continuous, siren meaning escape in progress. Bushell is at the exit about to enter for his own escape. He hears the shot. He's 30 feet underground listening to chaos above. He has 2 choices, climb up and surrender, or proceed knowing guards are flooding the exit. Both end the same way. He's known for 13 months his participation was suicide. The question was never survival. It was whether the operation would succeed first. He crawls forward, 4 minutes through 336 feet. He emerges into searchlights and rifle barrels. A Wehrmacht officer recognizes him immediately. The file marked Deutsch feindlich und gefahrlich. The officer says in English, "Roger Bushell, I thought you might be involved." Bushell's documented response, 76 men. Count them. The number is impossible. The largest previous German camp escape was 12 men. This is 633% larger. The Germans spend 2 hours verifying. When they confirm it, Commandant Colonel von Lindiner walks to the tunnel exit and stares down into Harry for 30 seconds. Then he says, "Das ist unmöglich," that is impossible. His aide responds, "Und doch ist es passiert," and yet it happened. March 25th, 8 a.m. The Gestapo takes command. Heinrich Himmler sends a directive from Berlin. More than half the recaptured officers are to be shot. Over 2 weeks, German police recapture 73 of 76 escapees. 3 make it home. 2 Norwegians reach Sweden by boat. 1 Dutch pilot reaches Gibraltar. 50% of the recaptured are executed with single shots to the head, bodies cremated, urns returned with fabricated causes of death. Roger Bushell is recaptured March 29th near the French border after traveling 400 miles in 5 days. The Gestapo brings him to a rural road outside Saarbrücken. An SS officer tells him to get out. Bushell asks for a cigarette, takes 3 drags, then says, "Get on with it." The officer shoots him once in the back of the head. He's 33 years old. The urn returns to Stalag Luft III with a certificate claiming he was shot while attempting to escape custody. The story spreads through Allied camps within days. 76 men out, 50 murdered. The mathematics, 600 prisoners, 13 months, 200 tons of sand, 336 feet of tunnel, 76 escaped, 50 executed, 3 home runs, and an estimated 70,000 German soldiers diverted to recapture operations for 2 weeks. The strategic disruption Bushell promised September 1941, 4 months before Harry began. Bushell is in Prague with Czech resistance. The Gestapo infiltrates the cell and plans a raid. Contacts warn him, leave immediately or face arrest. Standard response, flee to countryside. Bushell's response, stay and evacuate 6 other Allied escapees hiding in different cells before the raid. He has 72 hours. The odds of moving 6 men from a city under Gestapo surveillance are less than 5%. Bushell creates false papers for all 6, bribes a railway worker, personally guides 4 to stations dressed as a German railway inspector. Over 3 days, all 6 escape Prague. 5 eventually reach Allied lines. Bushell is arrested November 11th because someone under interrogation gave up his location. His response to the arresting officer, did the 6 make it out? The officer confirms 5 are gone. Bushell nods, then this was worth it. This proves what the Great Escape demonstrated. The tunnel wasn't luck. This was character repeated across situations. There was no life after for Roger Bushell. He died at 33 on a German roadside, executed for doing exactly what he said he would do. The 3 successful escapees, Per Bergsland, Jens Muller, and Bram van der Stok, all returned to active duty, survived the war, and spent decades speaking about the escape. Van der Stok became a doctor in Hawaii. Bergsland became a businessman in Norway. All 3 told the same story about Bushell. He never believed he would survive. He organized the escape knowing execution awaited, proceeding anyway because the strategic calculation justified the personal cost. 76 men outside equals 70,000 Germans pulled from front lines. That equation balanced even if it cost his life. Roger Joyce Bushell died March 29, 1944, age 33, Saarbrücken, Germany. Single gunshot to the head, executed by SS. Cremated at Saarbrücken Crematorium. Ashes transferred to Poznan Old Garrison Cemetery, Poland, Section 6, Row 9, Grave 1417, alongside 49 other murdered escapees. His headstone, name, rank, service number, date. Nothing about tunnels or 76 men. The Poznan Memorial lists all 50 with a plaque, they died for freedom. RAF Station Wittering has Bushell House. The RAF Museum at Hendon has a permanent Great Escape exhibit. Paul Brickhill's book The Great Escape documents the operation. The 1963 film made it famous but changed details. Bushell became Roger Bartlett, portrayed by Richard Attenborough. Most people know the escape. Fewer know the architect's name. Some stories don't fit on headstones. There are 2 ways to tell this story. The legend says Roger Bushell was a defiant hero who refused captivity and died for his principles. The documented record says he was a barrister who understood systems and applied that understanding to prison architecture. He calculated that 76 men escaping justified the risk of execution. He organized the operation with industrial precision, solving 7 impossible problems through methodical experimentation. He died because the mathematics said the operation mattered more than his survival, and he accepted that equation. Both are true, both are remarkable. But here's what matters. Bushell represents the person who looks at impossible situations and sees exploitable systems. He didn't see bars. He saw weaknesses in patrol patterns. He didn't see guards. He saw timing windows. He didn't see execution orders. He saw acceptable costs in strategic equations. The story isn't about escaping. It's about the decision pattern that makes one person accept a cage while another starts digging. Rational calculation says stop when survival is 0%. Bushell's calculation said proceed when strategic disruption is maximized. That difference explains why 76 men crawled out of Harry on March 24, 1944. This pattern appears across his life. Spitfire losing altitude, bail or land impossibly. He lands. Resistance compromised, flee or help others first. He helps. Gestapo promises execution, stop or dig. He digs. When Bushell stood at that tunnel entrance knowing he'd be caught and executed, he wasn't being reckless. He was executing a strategy where the goal, 70,000 Germans pulled from combat, justified the cost. He asked himself one question: does the strategic value exceed the personal cost? When the answer was yes, he proceeded. The story is simple. Roger Bushell spent 13 months building an impossible tunnel, evacuated 76 men in one night, disrupted Wehrmacht operations for 2 weeks, and died for it exactly as he knew he would, because the equation balanced. When the Gestapo executed him on that roadside, the strategic value was 70,000 German soldiers. The personal cost was one 33-year-old barrister who asked himself one question before every decision and always calculated the same answer. Some things you never stop calculating.